Mom, I'm back. He protects me like a human soldier reunites his alien queen with his lost daughter Asterisk. The throne room of the Zephyrian Empire was once the brightest place in the galaxy. Now it felt like a tomb. Empress Velthara sat on her crystal throne, her body barely glowing with the pale light that all Zephyrians carried inside them. 3 years ago, she had shined like a star. Her people would travel from distant worlds just to see her radiance. Well, that was before the rebels took everything that mattered to her. Your Majesty, General Kexmoth approached carefully. His own crystalline form pulsed with nervous energy. The search teams have returned from the Outer Rim sectors. Velthara did not lift her head. She already knew what he would say. It was always the same report. Always the same failure. Nothing. She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. The rebels have hidden the princess too well. Our ships cannot enter the void sectors without starting a war with every outlaw faction in the galaxy. 3 years. 3 long years. Since her daughter Kirillin had been taken, the princess was only 15 when the rebels attacked the colony worlds. Velthara had sent her daughter to visit the mining stations, thinking it would be safe. Thinking her child could see how their empire helped other worlds. She was wrong. The rebel leader Vexstar had struck during the visit, his forces overwhelmed. The guardsmen took Kirillin as a prisoner. Since then, he had used her daughter as a symbol, a way to show that even the mighty Zephyrian Empire could be hurt. How many rescue attempts have we made? Velthara asked. General Kexmoth shifted. Uncomfortably. 47, Your Majesty. We have sent our best hunters, our fastest ships, our strongest warriors. We've offered bounties that could buy entire star systems. But the void sectors are... Are what, General? They are lawless, Your Majesty. No rules, no order. Forces are trained to fight organized enemies. In the void sectors, everyone is an enemy. Pirates, smugglers, mercenaries. They all protect each other against outside forces. Velthara finally looked up. Her dim light flickered with anger. Are you telling me that my empire, which controls 300 worlds, cannot rescue one child from a group of criminals? The general stepped back. Even dimmed, an angry Zephyrian empress was dangerous. Your Majesty, we will keep trying. Perhaps if we sent a larger fleet. Larger fleets make larger targets, a new voice said from the entrance. Both the empress and general turned to see a figure walking into the throne room. He was small compared to the towering Zephyrians. His skin a warm brown color instead of crystal. He wore the uniform of an imperial military advisor. But the cut was different. Human. Sergeant Marcus Chen, General Kexmoth said with barely hidden displeasure. You were not called to this meeting. Marcus walked forward without fear. Humans, Velthara had learned, did not show proper respect for authority the way other species did. They were strange that way, but they were also useful in ways that surprised her. Your Majesty, Marcus said, giving a small bow. I heard about the latest failed mission. I think I can help. General Kexmoth made a sound of frustration. Human, your species has been in space for barely 200 years. We have been exploring the galaxy for over 3,000. What could you possibly know about rescue operations that we do not? Marcus smiled. It was not a mocking smile, but something else. Something that reminded Velthara of her daughter. When Kirillin had figured out a puzzle that others could not solve, General, your people think like prey, Marcus said simply. The throne room went silent. General Kexmoth's crystal form flared with anger. How dare you? Wait, Velthara said, raising her hand. Something about the human's confidence interested her. Explain what you mean, Sergeant Chen. Marcus looked directly at her. Most species found it hard to meet a Zephyrian empress's gaze, even when her light was dim. But humans seemed comfortable with direct eye contact. Your Majesty, Zephyrians. Evolved on peaceful worlds, your people are builders, creators, explorers. When you face a problem, you think about overwhelming it with resources or technology. That works great for most things. But not for this, Velthara said, understanding. Not for this, Marcus agreed. The rebels took your daughter to the void sectors because they knew you would think like Zephyrians. They knew you would send fleets and offer bounties and try to force your way in. Every time you do that, you prove to everyone in the void sectors that you are the outside threat they need to unite against. General Kexmoth stepped forward. Then what do you suggest, human? We cannot simply abandon the princess. Marcus turned to face the general. Humans evolved differently than your people. We were predators on our homeworld, persistence hunters. When we wanted something, we did not try to overpower it. We followed it. We learned its habits. We became patient. We became part of its world. Until we could strike at the right moment. You want to hunt my daughter? Velthera asked, her voice dangerous. No, your majesty. I want to hunt the people who took her. But I want to do it the human way. Not with fleets and armies. With patience and understanding, and by becoming someone they do not see as a threat. Velthara studied the human for a long moment. She had worked with humans before. They were strange allies. They did not have the advanced technology of the Valkyrie or the psychic powers of the Mindari. They could not fly like the Skyborn or live underwater like the Deep Ones. But they had something else. Something that other species found disturbing and never gave up. What exactly are you proposing? She asked. Marcus straightened. Give me a small team, not soldiers, not warships. Give me people who can blend in. Let me go to the void sectors. Not as an imperial force, but as someone looking for work. Let me become part of their world. That could take months, General Kexsmith protested. Maybe years. Your way has taken 3 years and failed, Marcus replied. My way might take longer, but it will work. How can you be so certain? Velthera asked. Marcus was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. Your Majesty, I have a sister back on Earth. When she was young, she got lost in the wilderness during a camping trip. The search teams gave up after 2 weeks. They said the forest was too big, too dangerous. But I did not give up. I searched for 6 months. I learned every trail, every hiding spot, every sound the forest made, and I found her. Yeah. That is one child in a forest, General Kexmoth said. This is a princess hidden among criminals across multiple star systems. Marcus looked back at the Empress. Your Majesty, humans have a saying, no one gets left behind. It does not matter how long it takes or how hard it is. We do not abandon our people. If you let me try, I will not. Abandon your daughter. Velthera felt something she had not felt in 3 years. It was small and fragile, but it was there. Hope. What would you need? She asked. Marcus smiled again. Ship that looks like a smuggler's vessel. 3 volunteers who know the Outer Rim, and a promise. What promise? That when I bring Princess Kirillan home, you will listen to what she learned during her time in captivity. Sometimes the people we call enemies have reasons for what they do. Understanding those reasons might prevent future wars. General Kexmoth started to protest, but Velthara raised her hand again. She looked at this strange human who spoke of patience and understanding in a throne room built for power and conquest. Very well, Sergeant Chen. You have my permission to try where my empire has failed. But understand this. If you fail, if any harm comes to my daughter because of your methods, I will hold you personally responsible. Marcus nodded seriously. I understand, Your Majesty, but I will not fail. Humans do not know how to quit. Your daughter will come home. As the human turned and left the throne room, Velthera felt her inner light pulse just a little brighter. For the first time in 3 years, someone had promised her daughter would return home, and something about the way he said it made her believe it might actually be true. The old cargo freighter looked like it had seen better days. Actually, it looked like it had seen better decades. Rust covered half the hull. One engine made strange grinding noises. And the main computer was held together with repair tape and hope. This is your plan? Lieutenant Zaraketh asked, staring at the ship with disgust. The young Zephyrian pilot's crystal form flickered with doubt. We are supposed to rescue a princess in this garbage. Marcus Chen patted the ship's hull. With affection, Zara, this garbage is perfect. Look around the spaceport. What do you see? The Zephyrian pilot looked around the busy Imperial docks. Sleek warships gleamed under the station lights. Advanced scout vessels hummed with power. Transport ships sparkled with fresh paint and new technology. I see proper Imperial vessels, she said. Exactly, Marcus replied. And what would happen if any of those proper Imperial vessels showed up in the void sectors? They would be attacked immediately, came a gruff voice from behind them. Marcus turned to see Corvée Ironhand approaching. The mechanical engineer was a member of the Dorvani species, short, stocky beings who looked like they were made of living metal. Corv's left arm had been replaced with a mechanical prosthetic that could interface directly with ship systems. Corv understands, Marcus said with a smile. Tell her why this ship is better. Corv ran his metal fingers along the freighter's hull. In the void sectors, fancy ships mean targets. Rich ships mean pirates. Imperial ships mean everyone shoots first and asks questions later. But this old bucket? He patted the rust patches. Fondly, this looks like a ship that belongs there. Poor, desperate, trying to make a living any way it can. Zaraketh, Sklo, dimmed with understanding. We are not going as Imperial forces. We are going as criminals, as people trying to survive. Marcus corrected gently. There is a difference. Most of the people in the void sectors are not evil. They are just trying to live in a place where there are no laws to protect them. The third member of their team emerged from the ship's cargo hold. Nyx Shadowtail was a former rebel who had surrendered to Imperial forces 2 years ago. His species, the Valkyrie, resembled tall, thin cats with dark fur and bright yellow eyes. Most Imperials did not trust him, but Marcus had specifically requested him for the team. The ship is ready, Nyx reported. I have loaded supplies that will make us look like smugglers. Basic medical equipment, food preservers, and some electronics that are not quite illegal, but not quite legal either. Perfect, Marcus said. Now before we leave, we need to understand how this is going to work. Zara, you are our pilot. But out there, you are not Lieutenant Zarakith of the Imperial Navy. You are just Zara, a pilot who lost her military job for gambling debts. Zarakith looked uncomfortable. I do not know how to pretend to be a criminal. You do not need to pretend to be a criminal, Marcus explained patiently. You need to pretend to be someone who made mistakes and is trying to start over. That is very different. He turned to Corv. You are our engineer. Your story is that you lost your arm in an industrial accident, and the Imperial insurance did not pay enough for a good prosthetic. So now you work for whoever will hire you, Corv. Nodded. Easy to believe. Happens all the time in the Rim worlds. And Nyx, Marcus continued, you are still a former rebel. But now you work as an informant and guide because you need the money. People will not trust you completely, but they will understand why you are with us. What about you? Nyx asked. What is your story? Marcus smiled. I am exactly what I appear to be, human soldier who got tired of taking orders and decided to try freelance work. The truth is always the best cover story. Over the next week, Marcus trained his team in ways that confused them. Instead of weapons, practice, or combat training, he taught them how to read facial expressions. He showed them how to listen to the tone of someone's voice to understand what they were really feeling. He explained how to share a meal with someone to build trust. This is not military training, Zara complained, after Marcus spent an entire afternoon teaching them human card games. No, it is not, Marcus agreed. It is something more important. It is human training. What do you mean? Corv asked.
Marcus
Set down his cards and looked at each of them seriously. Every other species in the galaxy has special abilities. Zephyrians can create energy fields. Dorvani can interface with machines. Valkyrie can move silently and see in the dark. But humans have a different kind of power. What power? Nyx asked, genuinely curious. We can become friends with anyone, Marcus said simply. Give a human enough time, and we will find something in common with almost any being we meet. We will share our food, tell our stories, and listen to theirs. Before they know it, they care about us. And once someone cares about you, they will help you. 2 days later, their stolen freighter approached the edge of the void sectors. The area looked empty on most star charts, but Marcus knew better. Hidden among the asteroids and gas clouds were dozens of secret bases, pirate hideouts, and smuggler ports. There, Nyx pointed to a faint energy signature. Trading Post 47. It is a neutral meeting place. Pirates, smugglers, and mercenaries all use it to do business. Perfect, Marcus said. Take us in slowly, Zara. We want to look like we belong here. As they approached the hidden station, Marcus felt the familiar calm that came before a dangerous mission. This was what humans were good at, adapting to new situations, reading people, building relationships. While other species relied on their natural advantages, humans survived by making everyone around them care about their survival. The trading post was built inside a large asteroid. Ships of every size and condition were docked to its surface. Like metal parasites, most of them looked as rough as their own freighter. Some looked worse. Incoming vessel, came a gruff voice over the communications system. State your business. Marcus took the microphone. Cargo freighter Wanderer requesting docking permission. We have medical supplies and food to trade. Medical supplies, huh? What kind? The kind that do not ask questions, Marcus replied. There was a pause, then a chuckle. Tick. Bay 7. Docking fee is 50 credits. Pay up front. Understood. Hanging. In now. As Zara guided their ship into the docking bay, Marcus watched the other vessels around them. Each ship told a story. Patch jobs, weapon modifications, hidden cargo holds. These were the ships of people who lived on the edge, who took whatever work they could find. Remember, he told his team, as they prepared to disembark, we are not here to judge anyone. We are here to find information about Princess Kirillin. But we do that by becoming part of this community first. The docking bay was filled with the sounds and smells of a dozen different species, fuel vapors mixed with cooking food and machine oil. Marcus breathed it in and smiled. It reminded him of the frontier stations where he had grown up. Stay close, but not too close, he whispered to his team. Let me do the talking at first. Watch how I interact with people. Learn from it. Their first stop was the station's cantina. Like cantinas everywhere, it was dark, loud, and filled with people who wanted to forget their problems for a while. Marcus walked up to the bar and waited patiently for the bartender to notice him. The bartender was a large, four-armed creature. With scaly green skin, looked at Marcus with suspicious eyes. You new here, human? First time to Trading Post 47, Marcus replied honestly. But not my first time in the void sectors. What brings you out here? Marcus leaned on the bar casually. Same thing that brings everyone out here. Is looking for work that pays well and does not ask too many questions. The bartender studied him for a moment, then nodded. Fair enough. What are you drinking? Whatever the local favorite is, Marcus said. Something for my crew. As the bartender prepared their drinks, Marcus noticed other patrons watching them. Some looked curious, others suspicious. Few looked hostile. This was normal. New people always attracted attention in places like this. Here, the bartender said, sliding for glasses across the bar, Asteroid Ale. It is not pretty, but it gets the job done. Marcus tasted it and made a face. It was awful, but he smiled anyway. Strong stuff. I like it. The bartender laughed. You are either very tough or very good at lying. Maybe both. Marcus replied with a grin. Over the next few hours, Marcus did something that amazed his team. He talked to people. Not interrogated them, not bribed them, just talked. He asked about their ships, their travels, their problems. He shared stories about human customs and earth food. He listened to complaints about imperial taxes and rebel raids. Slowly, naturally, the conversation turned to recent events in the void sectors. Someone mentioned increased security around Carnage Station. Another person complained about rebel patrols making trade routes dangerous. Carnage Station? Marcus asked casually. I've heard that name before. Big operation? Biggest in the sector, replied a pilot with cybernetic implants, run by some rebel leader named Vexstar. They say he has something valuable there. Something the Empire wants back real bad. Marcus felt his heart race, but he kept his expression. Neutral. Sounds like a place to avoid. Smart thinking, the pilot agreed. Vexstar does not like visitors. The Empire has been sending ships to try to get whatever he has. None of them come back. As the evening continued, Marcus gathered more information. Carnage. Marcus Chen sat in the small detention cell and smiled. According to his team, this was a terrible plan. According to Imperial military doctrine, this was insane. But according to human thinking, this was perfect. 3 days ago, they had reached the asteroid field where Carnage Station was hidden. The rebel base was built inside the largest asteroid, protected by defensive turrets and patrol ships. Every Imperial attack had failed because they tried to fight their way in. Marcus had a different approach. He had let them capture him. "You were either very brave or very stupid," said the guard outside his cell. The alien was a Korak, a species that looked like walking lizards with thick armor plating. His name was Dek, and he had been assigned to watch the human prisoner. "Maybe both," Marcus replied cheerfully. "But I prefer to think of it as creative problem-solving," Stek made. A sound that might have been laughter. "Most prisoners do not make jokes about their situation." "Most prisoners do not have my situation," Marcus said. "I am not going anywhere. You are not going anywhere, so we might as well be friendly about it." This was day 2 of Marcus's captivity, and he was already making progress. The rebels had found him drifting in a damaged escape pod near their territory. His story was simple. His crew had betrayed him during a smuggling run gone wrong, and he had barely escaped with his life. It was believable because it happened all the time in the void sectors, Marcus said, settling back against the wall. "It seems like a good operation you have here." That looked suspicious. "Why do you want to know?" "Professional curiosity," Marcus replied. "I have been in a lot of places, but I have never seen a base this well hidden." Whoever planned this knew what they were doing. The guard's posture relaxed slightly. Marcus had learned that complimenting someone's work was a good way to get them talking. Vexter chose this location himself. "The asteroid field makes navigation difficult for large ships. Empire cannot send a fleet without losing half their vessels to collisions." "Smart," Marcus said admiringly. "In the base itself?" "Take a lot of maintenance to keep a place like this running." "More than you might think," Dek replied. "We have over 300 people living here. Power systems, life support, food production. It is like running a small city." 300. Marcus whistled softly. "That is impressive, but I bet it is hard to keep everyone happy." "That many people, there must be disagreements." Dek was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "It is not easy. Many of us never wanted to be rebels, just had nowhere else to go." This was what Marcus had been hoping to hear. Not hatred for the Empire, but desperation. These were not evil people. They were refugees who had been forced into this life. "What happened to you?" Marcus asked gently. Dek looked around to make sure no one else was listening. "My family had a farm on Kepler 7. Imperial Mining Company wanted our land for a new operation. They offered to buy us out, but the price was not enough to start over somewhere else. When we refused, they changed the local laws to make our farming illegal. Said our methods were environmentally harmful." "Were they?" No, Dek said bitterly. "My family had been farming that land for 6 generations. We knew how to work with the soil, not against it. But the mining company had money, and money talks louder than truth in imperial courts." Marcus nodded sympathetically. "So you lost everything." "Everything." That confirmed. "The Empire took our land, gave us a small compensation payment, and told us to be grateful. My wife got sick from the stress. Died 2 years later. Could not afford proper medical treatment." "I am sorry," Marcus said, and he meant it. "That should not have happened to you." That looked surprised. "You are not Imperial?" "Human," Marcus replied. "And humans know what it is like to lose everything and have to start over. We have done it many times in our history." Over the following days, Marcus had similar conversations with other guards. Each one had a story. Family destroyed by imperial bureaucracy. A business shut down by new regulations that favored larger corporations. Children taken away because their parents could not afford proper housing on imperial worlds. Marcus listened to all of them. He shared food from his rations. He taught them card games to pass the time, told stories about Earth and human history. Slowly, he stopped being the prisoner and became Marcus, the human who listens. On his 5th day in captivity, Marcus made his first real breakthrough. A guard named Jex, a young Valkyrie who barely looked old enough to be away from his parents, was complaining about the station's waste recycling system. "It keeps breaking down," Jex said. You have to manually reset it 3 times a day. Drives everyone crazy. What kind of system is it? Marcus asked. Old Imperial model. Series 7 processor unit. Marcus sat up straighter. I know that system. Use them on frontier colonies all the time. So the problem is probably in the pressure valve regulation. It's a simple fix, but you need to know the right sequence. Jex looked interested. You could fix it. Sure, Marcus said casually. Take about 10 minutes if you have the right tools. Word spread quickly through the station. The human prisoner knew how to fix things. Soon guards were bringing him small problems. A communication unit that would not hold a signal. A food processor that kept burning meals. A weapon charging station that worked too slowly. Marcus fixed them all. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to help. And with each repair, he learned more about the station's layout and the people who lived there. You are different from what I expected, X said one evening, as Marcus finished adjusting the guard station's heating unit. What did you expect? Imperial spy, soldier sent to gather intelligence. Deck paused. But you actually care about our problems? Marcus looked up from his work. Deck, I have learned something important in my travels. Suffering is suffering, no matter what species you are, and helping each other is what makes us better than our worst moments. It was during his second week of captivity that Marcus finally saw her. Princess Kirillin was walking down a corridor under heavy guard. She was taller than Marcus had expected, no longer the child who had been taken 3 years ago, her Zephyrian. Crystal form was dim, almost gray, and she moved like someone who had given up hope. Marcus felt his heart break a little. This was what Empress Velthara had been mourning. Not just a missing daughter, but a bright spirit that had been slowly crushed by years of captivity. Is that her? He asked that quietly. The princess that confirmed. Vexstar keeps her in the high security section, Ali, his most trusted. People can go there. She looks. Marcus searched for the right words. Broken, that finished. 3 years is a long time to be a prisoner. Even if you are treated well, it changes you. That night, Marcus lay in his cell and thought about the young woman he had seen. Somewhere in this station, Princess Kirillin was probably staring at the ceiling of her own cell, wondering if anyone was still looking for her. Wondering if her mother still remembered her. Marcus began planning. He had made friends among the guards. He had proven himself useful to the station's operations. Now he needed to find a way to get close to the princess. Not to rescue her yet. That would come later. First, he needed to give her something she had not had in 3 years. Hope. Next morning, Marcus approached Thak with a proposal. That heating system in the high security section, he said casually. I heard some guards complaining about it. Cold air makes for unhappy guards, and unhappy guards make mistakes. Deck looked interested. You think you could fix it? It's probably, Marcus replied. But I would need to see the system to be sure. Maybe get escorted up there to take a look. Thak considered this. Marcus had proven himself trustworthy over the past 2 weeks. He had fixed dozens of problems around the station and never tried to escape. And Vexstar had been complaining about the temperature in the security section. I will ask my supervisor, Thak, said finally. That afternoon, Marcus found himself walking through the high-security corridors of Carnage Station. The area was much more heavily defended than the rest of the base, all armed guards at every intersection. Blast doors that could seal off sections instantly. And somewhere behind one of these doors, a princess who had been waiting 3 years for rescue. As Marcus worked on the heating system, he memorized everything he saw. Guard rotations, security protocols, the layout of the corridors, but most importantly, he listened for any sound that might tell him where Princess Kirillin was being held. He heard it during his second trip to the security section, a voice singing softly. The song was in the Zephyrian language, but Marcus recognized it as a lullaby. He had heard Empress Velthara humming the same tune during their meetings. Marcus smiled as he continued his work. He had found her. Now came the really difficult part, making contact without alerting the guards. But he was not worried. Humans were very good at finding creative solutions to impossible problems. And Marcus Chen was about to prove that sometimes the most powerful weapon in the galaxy was not a gun or a bomb. Sometimes it was simply a person who refused to let others suffer alone. As he finished his repairs and prepared to return to his cell, Marcus began composing the first message he would somehow get to Princess Caroline. 3 words that would change everything, your mother remembers. Marcus had been working on the station's systems for 3 weeks when he finally got his chance. The main power grid needed maintenance, and he was the only person who understood the old Imperial technology well enough to fix it safely. This could take several hours, he told Dak as they walked toward the power distribution center. The system connects to every section of the station, including high security. Dek nodded. Vexstar wants it fixed properly. He is tired of power fluctuations interrupting his communications. The power center was located near the high security section. As Marcus worked, he listened carefully to the sounds around him. Guard rotations, meal deliveries, maintenance schedules. He was learning the rhythm of the station's daily life. During his second hour of work, Marcus heard it again, soft singing from the secure corridor. Princess Caroline was close, probably just 2 sections away. But between him and her were locked doors, armed guards, and security cameras. Marcus smiled. Humans were very good at solving problems that seemed impossible. He waited until the shift change at 1400 hours. During the 10-minute gap when new guards were taking positions, Marcus slipped a small piece of paper into the food delivery cart that was heading to the high-security section. On the paper, written in the Zephyrian language, were 3 words, your mother remembers. For the next 2 days, Marcus continued his work around the station. He fixed broken equipment, helped with maintenance, and slowly became someone that everyone trusted. But he was also watching, planning, preparing for what had to come next. On the 3rd day, he found a response. Hidden inside a waste disposal unit he was repairing was a small crystal fragment. When he touched it, Princess Caroline's voice whispered in his mind, a Zephyrian ability to store messages in crystal. Who are you? The message said. How do you know about my mother? Is this real, or am I finally losing my mind? Marcus felt his heart break at the pain in her voice. 3 years of captivity had nearly destroyed her hope. But it was still there, buried deep, but not completely gone. He recorded his own message in a small piece of metal using human technology. My name is Marcus Chen. I am a human soldier sent by your mother to bring you home. Empress Velthara's light has been dim for 3 years, but it will shine again when you return. You are not forgotten, you are not abandoned, and you are going home. The exchange of messages continued for a week. Slowly, carefully, Marcus began to rebuild Princess Caroline's hope. He told her about her mother's daily visits to her old room. It's about the search teams that had never stopped looking. About an entire empire that missed their future queen. I want to believe you, came one message. But even if you are real, how can you possibly get me out of here? This place is a fortress. Princess Marcus replied, humans have a saying, where there is a will, there is a way. I have the will. Now I just need to find the way. The way came sooner than expected, but not in the form Marcus had hoped. It was during his 4th week on the station that Vexstar himself appeared in the maintenance section. The rebel leader was a tall, imposing figure from the Skarn species, beings that looked like walking shadows with glowing red eyes. You are the human, Vexstar said, his voice like grinding metal. Marcus looked up from the communication array. He was repairing. I am a human, yes, Marcus Chen. My guards tell me you have been very helpful, Vexstar continued. Fixing our problems, listening to our stories, it's very friendly for someone who claims to be just a smuggler. Marcus felt the temperature in the room drop several degrees. This was not a social visit. I believe in being useful wherever I am. Marcus replied carefully. Makes life easier for everyone. Vexstar moved closer. Yes, but some of my people have noticed something interesting. The heating system in the high-security section has been working perfectly since you fixed it. The sensors show someone has been accessing the maintenance tunnels near the princess's cell. Someone small enough to fit through spaces my guards cannot follow. Marcus kept his expression neutral, but his mind was racing. Somehow, Vexstar had discovered his message exchanges with Princess Caroline. I am not sure what you are suggesting, Marcus said. I am not suggesting anything, Vexstar replied. I am stating facts. You are not a smuggler. You are an Imperial spy sent to rescue the princess, and your little plan ends now. Alarms suddenly started blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red as blast doors began sealing sections. Marcus realized with growing horror that this was not just about him being discovered. This was about something much worse. "What are you doing?" Marcus demanded. Vextar's red eyes glowed brighter. "I am tired of the Empire's interference, tired of their rescue attempts. So I am sending them a message they will never forget. In 10 minutes, this station's reactor will overload. The explosion will destroy everything within 50 kilometers, including their precious princess." Marcus felt ice in his veins. "You are going to murder everyone on this station? Your own people?" "My people will evacuate in the emergency pods," Vextar said coldly. "But you and the princess will remain here as witnesses to what happens when the Empire tries to take what is mine." The rebel leader turned and began walking toward the exit. Marcus knew he had only seconds to act. Without thinking, he grabbed a heavy tool and threw it at the door controls. Sparks flew as the mechanism jammed, trapping them both. "In the compartment, what have you done?" Vextar snarled. "Stopped you from killing innocent people," Marcus replied, moving to block the only other exit. "Including a young woman who never did anything except be born to the wrong family?" Vextar drew a weapon, but Marcus did not back down. "You cannot stop this, human. The reactor sequence has already started." "Then stop it," Marcus said simply. "Why would I do that?" Marcus looked directly into the alien's glowing eyes. "Because you are not a monster. You are a father who lost his children." Vextar froze. "How could you possibly know that?" "Deck told me your story," Marcus replied gently. "Your family was killed in an Imperial bombing raid. You started this rebellion because you wanted justice for them. But this..." Marcus gestured toward the alarms and flashing lights. "This is not justice. This is just more innocent people dying for the mistakes of others." "The Empire must pay," Vextar said, but his voice was shaking now. "The Empire has already paid," Marcus replied. "Look around you. 300 people living in hiding because they cannot trust their own government. Families destroyed by policies that care more about profit than people. Children growing up as rebels because they have no other choice. The Empire is destroying itself." Marcus took a step closer. "But killing Princess Kirlin will not bring your children back. It'll just create more orphans, more pain, more suffering. Is that what your children would want? Is that the legacy you want to leave?" Vextar was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. "I miss them so much." "I know," Marcus said softly. "I lost my sister when I was young. The pain never goes away completely. We have a choice about what we do with that pain. We can use it to hurt others, or we can use it to prevent others from feeling the same loss." Alarms were getting louder. Marcus could hear evacuation announcements echoing through the corridors. Time was running out. "Please," Marcus said. "Stop the reactor overload. Let your people evacuate safely. Let Princess Kirlin go home to her mother. Let yourself find a different way to honor your children's memory." Vextar looked at his weapon, then at Marcus, then at the flashing emergency lights. "Even if I stop the reactor, you and the princess are still my prisoners." Marcus nodded. "I understand. Take me as your permanent hostage if you need to. Keep me here forever. But let her go. She has been a prisoner for 3 years. Her mother has been suffering for 3 years. Do not make them suffer anymore." "You would sacrifice yourself for someone you barely know?" "Yes," Marcus said without hesitation. "Because that is what humans do. We do not abandon people who need help. We do not let innocents suffer if we can prevent it. And we do not give up on each other. Ever." Vextar stared at the human for a long moment. Then slowly he moved to the emergency control panel and began entering commands. The alarms stopped. The flashing lights returned to normal. "The reactor is stable," he said quietly. "Thank you," Marcus replied. "Now please, let Princess Kirlin evacuate with your people. Let her go home." Vextar was quiet for several minutes. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. Tired, but somehow lighter. "The evacuation pods are launching in 5 minutes," he said. "The princess will be on the last one." Marcus felt relief flood through him. "And your people will find somewhere new to start over. somewhere far from Imperial space. Vexstar looked at Marcus. You really would stay here, become my prisoner to save someone else? Yes, Marcus said simply. Vexstar made a sound that might have been laughter. You humans are strange creatures, but perhaps... He paused, then continued. Perhaps there is another way. The evacuation pods can carry more than just my people. Marcus looked at him with, surprise, you mean? ... I mean that sometimes when someone shows you a different path, you realize you have been walking in the wrong direction for a very long time. As the sound of launching evacuation pods echoed through the station, the Imperial Palace had not seen such activity in 3 years. Servants rushed through the corridors, preparing rooms that had been sealed since Princess Curilin's disappearance. Guards took positions along routes that had not been used since. The rescue missions began. And in the throne room, Empress Velthara sat perfectly still, afraid to move, afraid to breathe, afraid that any motion might break the spell and make this all a dream. Your Majesty, General Kecksmith said softly as he entered the throne room, the ship carrying Princess Kirilin has entered our system. They will arrive within the hour. Velthara's crystal form flickered with the first real light it had shown. In years, is she... ... How is she? Alive and safe, Your Majesty. The humans' mission was successful. The Empress stood slowly from her throne. For 3 years, she had imagined this moment. For 3 years, she had practiced what she would say, how she would act. But now that it was real, all her prepared words seemed meaningless. I need to see her, she said simply. Your Majesty, perhaps you should wait in the throne room. Let the princess come to you with proper ceremony. ... Double quotes. No, his voice was firm. I have waited 3 years to hold my daughter. I will not wait 1 minute longer. The Empress walked through her palace like she had not walked in years. Not the slow, measured pace of a grieving ruler, but the quick, eager steps of a mother about to see her child. Palace staff stopped and stared as she passed. Her light was growing brighter with each step, filling corridors that had been dim for too long. By the time she reached the landing platform, Velthara was shining like a star. The rescue ship was small and worn, nothing like the grand imperial vessels that usually landed at the palace. But to Velthara, it was the most beautiful sight. In the galaxy, as the ship's ramp lowered, she felt her heart racing in a way it had not since Kirilin was a child. The first person to emerge was Zarakith, the young pilot who had volunteered for the mission. She gave a quick bow to the Empress, then stepped aside. Behind her came Corv and Nyx, both looking tired but proud. And then, slowly, carefully, Princess Kirilin appeared at the top of the ramp. She looked older than Velthara remembered. Taller, thinner, with the careful movements of someone who had learned to be cautious. Her crystal form was dim, almost gray, like a light that had been covered for too long. But she was alive. She was here. She was home. For a moment, mother and daughter just stared at each other across the landing platform. 3 years of separation, 3 years of pain, 3 years of wondering if this moment would ever come. Princess Kirilin spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Mother. My daughter, Velthara replied, and her voice broke with emotion. They ran toward each other at the same time. When they embraced, their combined light exploded across the platform like a sunrise. Palace guards wiped tears from their eyes. Servants stopped their work to watch, throughout the imperial capital. People looked up, as the palace suddenly blazed with a radiance that had been missing for far too long. I thought I would never see you again, Kirilin sobbed into her mother's shoulder. I never stopped looking, Velthara replied, holding her daughter tight. I never stopped believing you would come home. They held each other for long minutes, neither wanting to let go. Finally, Velthara pulled back just enough to look at her daughter's face. Are you hurt? Did they harm you? No, Mother. I was treated well. I was so scared. So alone, I thought. ... Kirilin's voice trailed off. You thought what, my dear? I thought you might forget about me. 3 years is a long time. I thought maybe the Empire was more important than one missing princess. Velthara's light flared with fierce emotion. Kirilin, Listen to me. You are not just a princess. You are my daughter. You are my heart. There is nothing in this galaxy more important to me than you. It's nothing. As mother and daughter continued their reunion, the rescue team stood quietly nearby. Zaraketh, Korv, and Nyx watched with satisfaction, knowing they had been part of something special. But someone was missing. Where is Sergeant Chen? General Kexmath asked. Zaraketh looked uncomfortable. He stayed behind to ensure our escape. We do not know if he survived. The celebration on the platform suddenly felt incomplete. Who had made this reunion possible was not here to see it. But then, as if summoned by their thoughts, another ship appeared in the sky. It was larger than the first and much more battered. As it landed, the ramp lowered to reveal an unexpected sight. Marcus Chen walked out first, tired but smiling. Behind him came dozens of other figures, former rebels who had chosen to leave their old life behind. And at the rear of the group, moving slowly but with dignity, came Vexstar himself. Princess Kirillan gasped when she saw them. She broke away from her mother and ran toward Marcus. "Marcus," she called out, "you made it." The human soldier caught her in a hug and spun her around once before setting her down. "I promised I would bring you home, Princess. Humans keep their promises, but how? What happened to the station?" Marcus smiled. "Let's just say that sometimes when you show people a better path, they choose to take it." Kirillan looked at Vexstar, who stood apart from the group looking uncertain and afraid. The rebel leader who had kept her prisoner for 3 years was now here, in the heart of the Empire, surrounded by enemies. "Vexstar," she said softly. The former rebel leader looked at her with his glowing red eyes. "Princess, I am sorry. For everything. I know my apology cannot undo 3 years of your life, but I need you to know that I regret the pain I caused you and your mother." Princess Kirillan studied him for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, she stepped forward and placed her hand on his arm. "You lost your children," she said gently. "I understand your pain now. I felt what it was like to be separated from family. But this..." She gestured around at the reunion, at her mother's radiant joy. "This is better than revenge. This is healing." Empress Velthara approached slowly. The former rebel leader dropped to his knees before her. "Your Majesty," Vexstar said, "I have come to surrender myself for my crimes, but I also bring information that might help prevent other families from suffering as ours have." Velthara looked down at the being who had caused her 3 years of agony. She could have him executed. She could have him imprisoned forever. She could make him suffer as she had suffered. Instead, she did something that surprised everyone present. "Rise," she said. "You are no longer my enemy. Anyone who helped bring my daughter home is welcome in my palace." As Vexstar stood, still amazed by the Empress's mercy, Princess Kirillan turned back to Marcus. The human who had kept his impossible promise was standing quietly, watching the reunion with satisfaction. "Marcus," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "thank you for everything, for not giving up, for keeping your promise, for bringing me home to my mother." And she did something that made Marcus's eyes fill with tears. She ran to him and hugged him again, speaking the words that gave their story its meaning. "Mom, I'm back," she said to Marcus first, acknowledging him as the one who had made it possible. "Mom, I'm back." Marcus hugged her tight, thinking about his own sister, his own family, and the universal power of love that transcends species and star systems. "Yes, Princess," he said softly. "You are home." Later that evening, as the palace celebrated and the galaxy learned that the missing princess had been found, Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the imperial capital. The city was lit up with celebration, and the palace itself glowed with the combined radiance of mother and daughter reunited. Princess Kirillan found him there, still wearing her travel clothes, her light now beginning to return to its former brightness. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. Marcus smiled. "I am thinking about something my grandfather used to tell me. He said that home is not a place. It is the people who love you enough to never stop looking for you." "Yes." "Why you came for me? Because you understand about family?" I came for you because no one should suffer alone, Marcus replied. But I stayed because I learned that family is not just about blood or species. It is about choosing to care for each other, no matter what. Princess Kirillin nodded, understanding. The rebels who came with you. They are your family now too, are they not? In a way, yes. And so are you, Princess. And your mother. And anyone else who needs someone to refuse to give up on them, as they stood together watching the celebration. Below, both knew that this was more than just the end of a rescue mission.
Ow.
It was the beginning of something new. A future where understanding could replace hatred, where mercy could triumph over revenge, and where the simple human refusal to abandon hope could change the fate of empires. In the months that followed, the story of Marcus Chen and the rescued princess would become legend throughout the galaxy. But to those who lived it, it was something simpler and more powerful. It was proof that sometimes the greatest victories come not from superior technology or overwhelming force, but from the courage to care about others and the persistence to never give up on bringing them home. And in a galaxy full of wonders and terrors, that was the most human thing of all.